Good morning/afternoon/evening, everyone. Let's talk about something we all crave, change. Not just any change, but the kind that turns everything around, the kind that feels like a sunrise after a long, dark night. Now, here's the thing about change. It rarely shows up with a grand announcement. No fireworks, no banners, no dramatic music playing in the background. Instead, it sneaks in through the cracks of our everyday lives. And before we know it, we're standing in a completely different version of ourselves. Let's talk about something that makes most of us uncomfortable: vulnerability, that raw, exposed feeling of standing in uncertainty, not knowing what comes next. It's the moment your voice shakes when you say what's really on your heart. It's admitting that you don't have all the answers. It's stepping into a situation where you might fail, where you might get hurt, where you might not be enough. And yet, vulnerability is where everything meaningful begins. Think about the most transformative moments of your life, the times when everything shifted. Were they moments of absolute certainty, or were they moments when you felt like you were walking a tightrope between fear and hope? Vulnerability is that tightrope. It's terrifying, but it's also where change begins. We are wired to avoid pain, to protect ourselves from discomfort. It's human nature. We build walls, wear masks, and convince ourselves that if we stay in control, if we stay safe, we won't get hurt. But here's the problem. Those same walls that keep pain out also keep joy, love, and growth out. Transformation doesn't happen in comfort zones. It happens when we lean into the unknown, when we open ourselves up to possibility, when we allow ourselves to be seen, truly seen. That's when we grow. Vulnerability is the moment you say, I don't know where this will lead, but I'm willing to try. It's the moment you choose to love again after heartbreak. It's the moment you walk away from what no longer serves you, even though you have no idea what's next. It's the moment you share your truth, knowing full well that not everyone will accept it. And here's the beautiful paradox. The more we embrace vulnerability, the stronger we become. Not because we toughen up or learn to shield ourselves better, but because we realize that we can survive it. We realize that the things we thought would break us actually shape us into who we were meant to be. So if you're standing on the edge of something new, something uncertain, if you're feeling exposed, afraid, unsure, know this: you are exactly where transformation begins. Vulnerability isn't a weakness. It's the doorway to everything you're meant for. Walk through it. Let's be honest. Nobody wakes up in the morning thinking, I hope today is deeply uncomfortable. We are wired to seek comfort. We crave stability, predictability, and the reassurance that we know what's coming next. And yet, if you look back at the moments in your life when you truly grew, when you changed in ways that mattered, I guarantee those moments were not comfortable. Discomfort is a signal. It's life's way of nudging us, sometimes gently, sometimes forcefully, towards something new. When we feel uneasy, restless, or even downright miserable in a certain situation, it's easy to see it as a problem, something to fix, avoid, or escape from. But what if discomfort isn't a problem at all? What if it's an invitation? Think about it. When a seed breaks open underground, it's not a painless process. But when a caterpillar transforms inside its cocoon, it's not comfortable. When muscles grow stronger, they ache from the strain. Growth, by its very nature, requires discomfort. The challenge is that most of us resist it. We stay in jobs that drain us because looking for something new feels daunting. We stay in relationships that no longer serve us because walking away feels terrifying. We avoid difficult conversations because the thought of confrontation makes our stomachs turn. We choose what's familiar, even when it's unfulfilling, simply because it's easier than stepping into the unknown. But here's what we forget. Discomfort is not a punishment. It's a signal that we are outgrowing something. It's a sign that we're being stretched beyond what we thought we were capable of. It's a clue that something in us or around us is shifting, and we are being called to step into a new version of ourselves. Think about the last time you were truly uncomfortable. Maybe you felt lost. Maybe you felt like the ground beneath you was shifting and you didn't know where to plant your feet. Maybe you felt stuck in a transition, unsure of where you were headed. And yet, if you look closely, wasn't that also a time when you were on the verge of something new? Wasn't that discomfort leading you somewhere? We have to change our relationship with discomfort. Instead of seeing it as a sign that something is wrong, we need to start recognizing it as a sign that something is happening. Growth isn't supposed to feel easy. Becoming the person you're meant to be isn't a smooth process. But if you can sit with the discomfort, if you can lean into it instead of running from it, you'll find that it's often the bridge between who you were and who you're becoming. So the next time you feel that restlessness, that unease, that deep sense of discomfort, don't rush to escape it. Instead, get curious. Ask yourself, what is this trying to teach me? Where is this trying to lead me? Because chances are the discomfort isn't there to hold you back. It's there to push you forward. When we think about transformation, we often imagine something dramatic, a lightning bolt moment that changes everything in an instant. We dream of grand breakthroughs, life-altering decisions, or a single event that turns our world upside down. But the truth is, real change doesn't usually happen that way. More often than not, it's the small shifts, the tiny, almost imperceptible choices that create the biggest impact over time. It's like a ripple in a pond. One small movement repeated consistently can build into a wave that reshapes everything in its path. Think about a plane adjusting its course by just a few degrees. Over a short distance, that shift is barely noticeable. But over hundreds or thousands of miles, that small adjustment can land the plane in an entirely different country. That's how change works in our lives too. A seemingly minor decision, choosing to speak up instead of staying silent, committing to 5 extra minutes of movement each day, reaching out to one new person, may feel insignificant in the moment, but over time it can alter the entire trajectory of your life. The challenge is that we are often impatient. We want instant results. We want to see proof that our efforts are working right now. And when we don't see immediate transformation, we assume it's not working, so we stop. But here's the truth. The most powerful changes often happen below the surface, long before we ever see their impact. Consider a seed planted in the soil. For weeks, maybe even months, nothing appears to be happening. But underground, roots are growing, stretching, anchoring deep into the earth. Then one day, seemingly out of nowhere, a tiny sprout emerges. And from that small sprout, a tree begins to grow. That's exactly how our lives work. The small shifts we make, those moments when we choose differently, even when we don't see immediate results, are the roots of our future transformation. Look at any success story, any person who has built something meaningful in their life. Behind that success, you won't find a single massive event that changed everything overnight. You'll find years of small, consistent actions, tiny shifts in mindset, daily habits that seemed insignificant at the time, but when compounded over months and years, led to something extraordinary. So if you're feeling stuck, if you're overwhelmed by the idea of massive change, take a breath. You don't have to change everything at once. You don't have to have all the answers today. Start small, make one shift, then another, and trust that over time, those small shifts will lead to seismic change. Because that's how transformation really happens. Not in one big leap, but in 1,000 tiny steps that one day add up to something remarkable. We hold on, we cling, we grip tightly to people, situations, beliefs, and versions of ourselves that once felt safe, familiar, or necessary. We hold on because we fear loss, because we mistake familiarity for security, and because sometimes letting go feels like failure. But here's the hard truth. You can't receive anything new if your hands are full of what no longer serves you. Letting go isn't just about release, it's about creating space. It's about making room for the new, the better, the next version of your life that's waiting for you. Think about it. Have you ever walked into a cluttered room so packed with old furniture, boxes, and things you no longer use that there's no space to move, no space to breathe? Now imagine wanting to bring something new into that room, a beautiful new table, a cozy chair, or a piece of art that truly reflects who you are today. You can't do it unless you clear out what no longer belongs. Your life works the same way. We often resist letting go because we think it means forgetting or dishonoring the past. But letting go doesn't erase what was. It simply acknowledges that what once fit no longer does. It's not about loss, it's about transition. It's about trusting that if something is leaving your life, it's because something else is meant to take its place. And yet, letting go is one of the hardest things we will ever do. Whether it's a relationship that no longer aligns with who we're becoming, a job that drains our energy, or a story we tell ourselves about who we are, releasing it feels like stepping into the unknown. And that's terrifying. But here's what we forget. The unknown isn't empty. It's filled with possibility. It's the space where new dreams can form, where new relationships can enter, where new opportunities can take shape. The problem is we don't often recognize what's waiting for us because we're too busy looking at what we're afraid to leave behind. Think about a tree in autumn. The leaves don't resist falling. The tree doesn't fight to hold on to them, even though those leaves provided shade and beauty just months before. The tree knows that letting go is part of the cycle of growth. It trusts that new leaves will come in time, but trusts the process. What would happen if we did the same? If we stopped gripping so tightly to what's leading and started trusting what's ahead? If we allowed the endings in our lives to be just that, endings, so that new beginnings could find their way in? Letting go is an act of courage. It requires trust. It requires a deep belief that we are not losing, but making space. And when we finally surrender, when we finally open our hands and release what we've been holding so tightly, we realize something. We are lighter, we are freer, and suddenly there's room for something new to arrive. So if you feel like you're being called to let go of a relationship, a job, a version of yourself, a plan that no longer fits, know this: you are not being asked to lose. You are being asked to make space, and what's meant for you will only find you when you're finally ready to receive it. Have you ever noticed how similar fear and excitement feel? The racing heart, the butterflies in your stomach, the slight tremble in your hands. Your body doesn't actually know the difference between fear and excitement. It reacts the same way to both. The only difference is the story your mind tells about what's happening. That's because fear and excitement are two sides of the same coin. They both show up when we're stepping into the unknown. They both arise when we're on the edge of something new, something that matters. And yet, we are taught to treat them as opposites. Fear whispers, what if you fail? Excitement whispers, what if this works? Fear says this is too big, too risky, too different. Excitement says this is big, this is different, and that's exactly why you should do it. The truth is, you can't have excitement without fear. They come together hand in hand. Because anything worth doing, anything that truly matters, is going to feel a little terrifying. That's how you know it's important. That's how you know it has the potential to change you. Think about the moments in your life when you felt the most alive. Maybe it was standing at the starting line of a race you weren't sure you could finish. Maybe it was walking into a new job on your first day, not knowing if you'd measure up. Maybe it was falling in love, letting yourself be seen even though your heart had been broken before. In those moments, wasn't fear sitting right next to excitement? Weren't you feeling both at the same time? That's because fear isn't always a stop sign. Sometimes it's just a signal that you're about to step into something meaningful. But here's where we get stuck. We assume that if we feel fear, it must mean something is wrong, that we should wait until we're fearless before we take the leap. But if that were true, nobody would ever take chances. Nobody would start a business. Nobody would move to a new city, write the book, chase the dream, or say yes to love. If we wait for fear to disappear, we will be waiting forever. Instead, what if we stopped trying to get rid of fear and started shifting the way we see it? What if the next time fear shows up, we reminded ourselves that excitement is standing right beside it? What if we stopped labeling fear as a reason to stop and started seeing it as a reason to go? Think about children on a roller coaster. They scream, they clutch the safety bar, they might even say, "I'm scared." But do they get off the ride? No, they laugh, they throw their hands in the air, they lean into the thrill of it. What if we did the same with our lives? What if instead of backing away from fear, we leaned into the thrill of the unknown? Because here's what I know, the best things in life will always come with a little fear. The moments that shape us, that change us, that bring us the deepest joy and fulfillment will always ask us to stand at the edge of uncertainty and take a step forward anyway. So the next time you feel fear, pause, take a breath, and ask yourself, is this fear telling me to stop? Or is this fear reminding me that I'm about to do something that matters? And if the answer is the second one, then don't let fear hold you back. Let it walk beside you. Let it remind you that you're alive, that you're growing, that you're stepping into something bigger than yourself. Because fear and excitement, they've always belonged together. And if you let them, they will lead you to something amazing. There's a saying, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Now, whether it's exactly 5 people or more, the truth remains. Who you surround yourself with shapes you. Your thoughts, your energy, your ambitions, your mindset, and even your self-belief are deeply influenced by the people in your life. Think about it. If you spend time with people who are constantly complaining, doubting themselves, or settling for less than they deserve, it's almost impossible not to absorb some of that energy. Their fears start to sound like your fears. Their limitations start to feel like your limitations. Their doubts start to make you question your own dreams. But if you're surrounded by people who are pushing themselves, growing, evolving, and believing in what's possible, suddenly you start to see the world differently. You start to believe in your own potential. You start to think bigger, take more risks, and challenge yourself in ways you never imagined. Your environment is everything. It's like a plant. You can take the healthiest, strongest plant in the world, but if you put it in poor soil, if you deprive it of sunlight and water, it will wither. Not because it wasn't capable of thriving, but because its environment didn't support its growth. The same is true for you. Ask yourself, who am I surrounding myself with? Do the people in my life encourage me or hold me back? Do they celebrate my growth or make me feel guilty for changing? Do they inspire me to be better or keep me stuck in old patterns? When I share my dreams, do they cheer me on or tell me to be realistic? The people around you aren't just part of your life, they are shaping the direction of it. If you want to grow, but you're surrounded by people who fear change, you'll find yourself hesitating. If you want to build something extraordinary, but you're surrounded by people who are content with mediocrity, you'll feel torn between your ambition and your loyalty to what's familiar. This is why letting go of certain relationships is one of the